Hi, everybody. It's Friday. We made it. And we're connecting slowly. Let's get started. Happy Friday. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're taking some time for you. Tuesday was the fall equinox. Hi. And while we're not quite on Tuesday anymore, we're just past that place where night and day are equal. We're just past it. It's a good time to think a little bit about symmetry, about two halves. And so the word for today is symmetry. Symmetry means with measure. What helps us in life to do something and measure it and to pay attention to whether it aligns, whether there's symmetry. And I just want to preface all of this by saying that our bodies are not symmetrical. That there's a clinic here in Lincoln, the Postural Restoration Clinic, and their kind of whole mantra is to recognize that there are some organs on one side of the body and other organs on the other side of the body. And so we're not supposed to be perfectly balanced or perfectly aligned or perfectly symmetrical. So the exploration today is not about make yourself more perfect, but rather about what can looking for symmetry in the body teach us about what's happening in our breath, in our movement, and in our mindset. So let's start measuring the breath. Ask yourself for your ingoing breath and your outgoing breath to be the same length. Maybe it's 1, 2, 1, 2. You can breathe in and out of your nose. That helps slow down the nervous system. You can breathe in and out of your mouth. That helps feel like you're releasing something. 1, 2. Maybe you're at a different number. That's okay. Wherever you are, increase your count by 1. If you're at 1, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, then go 1, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, and then make those symmetrical. Increase your counts by 1 more and also add a moment between. So if you're in 2, 3, 4, then out 2, 3, 4, and pause 2, 3, then back to in. So you're making a triangle. Out, pause, in, out, pause. Stick with that and just notice if the word pause means for you hold, tense, grab, and ask it instead to become suspend, so that you stay alive and with yourself even in that pause. Out. All right, one more addition. Now add a pause after the ingoing breath. In, pause, out, pause. 5 of those. So if you're just joining, we're measuring ingoing breath, keeping the same amount of time for a pause, for the outgoing breath, and for the other pause. Maybe you're making a square. All right, let that breathing go. Take the measurement off. And allow this afterward effect. to help you learn something. You might have found that this measurement of the breath is extremely constricting. It feels regimented and you don't like it. So consider what could nourish you about having more structure, about having more kind of boundaries that you give yourself. Maybe this freedom feels a little bit loosey-goosey to you, and then you might consider what would be nourishing about having a little less regiment. We're going to carry this bringing along of with measurement symmetry into our movement. So come into child's pose. Toes together if it feels good. Your knees can be as close or as far apart as you like. And here you can see this is symmetrical because along your spine, the same things are happening on your right side as are happening on the left. Your knees are in deep flexion, so you can always come up a little bit if you're uncomfortable. I'll just give you a moment of nothing. With your next ingoing breath, bring your fingers a little bit farther forward. And with your outgoing breath, bring the sit bones a little bit more towards your heels. And repeat that. Ingoing breath reaches the fingers. Outgoing breath reaches the tailbone towards the heels. Then let both of those go and just feel the freedom of being in this position as it is. Let's wake up each half. So walk your hands over towards one side. I'm going to reach towards a corner of my mat. You might just be reaching towards a corner of a room. With your ingoing breath, reach your farther hand a little bit farther. With your outgoing breath, sit the sits bone down towards your heel. Big old lateral stretch for your side body. Stay there if it's super comfy. If it's not very comfy, come back to the middle and just take a breath there, noting the difference between your two sides. Then let's balance out. Take your other hand over to the other side. Lateral stretch from your side all the way to your hand. Ingoing breath reaches one hand farther. Outgoing breath sends the sits bone down, so you get a big old stretch through your side. And then come on back to the center and just see if you can go a little farther. I can. Isn't that interesting? So with measurement, I get to see that my hands are now off of my mat, which they weren't before. But my sits bones are still reaching my heels. Start to walk your hands up. And you can just feel there that your tailbone and your sacrum actually reach your heels with maybe a little bit more contact. Enjoy that. You're either going to bring your feet apart from each other and have your shins be parallel, and you'll sit down between your heels, or you can leave them where they are and sit on your heels, whatever is going to feel most comfortable to you. So you'll walk your hands back and sit down. As soon as you get there, activate your quads a little bit, so that your knees are protected. You're going to press down through your hands, and wherever you are, whether you're in hero's pose with your sits bones on the earth or your heels are up, you're going to support yourself with your hands and start to tip your pelvis, the tailbone pointing towards the knees, tailbone pointing towards the toes, towards the knees, towards the toes, knees, toes, and you can be up off the ground. Should be a big old stretch for the fronts of your thighs, which we're going to need later on. Forward and back. And you might find that as you stretch out that front hip flexor and your quad, that you can actually walk yourself a little bit farther. And you can enjoy for today, with measurement, that you've found another distance to go. Keep that going. Ingoing breath perhaps opens the tailbone towards the knees. Outgoing breath arches the tailbone towards the toes. 2 more. Opening up the front of the body. I really needed this today. All right, the tailbone goes towards the feet, and then you're going to find yourself settled. Now, I can already tell that this hero's pose for me is different than it was when I started. Leave your feet on the floor. Again, anytime that the knees start to feel uncomfortable, just tuck your feet underneath and sit on your heels or come into a chair. Stay where you are. I'm just going to turn to face you so you can see me more fully. As your sits bones and knees and feet go down into the earth, lift your rib cage up out of your hips. Ingoing breath lifts you out. Outgoing breath presses you down. I'm giving you these ingoing and outgoing cues in order for you to feel like you're being very particular about this symmetry moment. You can go up and down at the same time. Then interlace your fingers and remember which one's on top. You're going to draw your hands up over your head and leave your elbows bent as your shoulder blades go down, down, down your back. Then flip your fingers over and leave the shoulders going down the back as you reach your fingers up towards the sky. So you're getting two things at once. Shoulder blades down, fingers up. Shoulder blades down, fingers up. It might be breath in with the fingers up and shoulder blades down with the outgoing breath. Oh, there's so much happening in this pose. Check that the back of your neck is free. Then shoulder blades continue to go down, but your fingers are going to reach up, 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 uninterlace, reach out and see how far can you reach out to the sides. Symmetry, so we're both getting like a fully symmetrical pose and also with measurement, reaching the hands as far apart as you possibly can and then reach down, 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 down and check that your shoulders can go down as your hands reach towards the floor. So both of those things happen at once. If you need to come off of your seat and give your knees a break, do. Otherwise, interlace the other finger on top. Elbows bent, shoulders down, twist, and then reach. Shoulders go down, fingers go up. Maybe ingoing breath to reach up, outgoing breath to bring the shoulders down. Reach away, 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 away as far as you can. Reach all the way across the globe as if you could give a high five to some people that are far away. And then down, shoulder blades down, hands down. Come on up onto all fours, cross your legs, and then come onto your sits and bring your feet out in front of you. You're going to squeeze your knees to undo all of that flexion. That was a lot of flexion. So just give them a moment. It's like you're squeezing your quads in order to juice up your knee joint. And I always find that the blood rushing through my legs feels really good. All right, here we are in another symmetrical pose, Dandasana. I always have to move the flesh out from my sits bones so I feel really connected to the floor. Now, a lot of us learned this pose in PE, and the measurement is, can I touch my toes? But that's not our measurement today. Today, the question is, can I balance the length of my head to my tailbone with the length that I'm finding through my legs? So this would be more balance on the legs than on the back. This would perhaps be over length through the back and not enough lengthening through the backs of the legs. So you just start to find, okay, here's length in my legs. Ingoing breath causes my spine to get long. Outgoing breath gives me a stretch in my legs. Ingoing breath causes my spine to get long. Outgoing breath gives me a stretch in my legs. And sure, some people can get their back of their back to be nice and long and straight and their legs to be nice and long and straight at the same time. But you're doing you. Your balance. Ingoing and outgoing. Your knees may be way up here, that's fine. Your knees may be over here, that's fine. One more breath here. Okay, we're going to make our way toward down dog, but before we do, just do anything else you need for the symmetry of your wrists, which have something like 26 bones in each hand hanging off of them, and the symmetry of your ankles, which have something like 26 or 27 bones hanging off of them. Our bodies are amazing things. To be ready for that. So maybe on hands and knees, you're going to move through your wrists and your feet, your ankles. When you're ready for down dog, start with yourself in a pretty balanced, symmetrical, all four position. And then actively press your hands down and send your sits bones back before you straighten your legs. And you're going to do the things that we did when we were in hero's pose. Bend your elbows out, rotate them around, and then straighten. And from there, you're going to press into your hands, send your shoulders way down your back, and then reach your hands away. So while your shoulders are going towards your hips, your hands are going into the floor. Then start to lift the tailbone and repeat that. Ingoing breath sends the shoulders up and away. Outgoing breath sends the fingers way into the mat. So you're doing two things at once, keeping balance. Shoulders in one direction, hands in the other. All right, from there, imagine that there's this big old line running through your hands and through your legs, and your spine lines up with it. So you're kind of measuring the fact that your spine is straight on this line. And then with the ingoing breath, you're going to lengthen the line from your wrist to your hips, and your outgoing breath is going to lengthen the line from your hips to your heels. Ingoing breath up the triangle, outgoing breath down the mountain of your body. And maybe there's a pause as the mind comes back to the hands. Ingoing up to the hips, outgoing down to the feet. Pause, bring the mind back to the hands. Big old triangle. You can either find this resting and do 2 more breaths here. Otherwise, take 2 breaths here in child's pose, or however long we're here. And just notice how you can bring that same breath sequence into a child's pose and it will feel like a circle. Ingoing breath from the hands to the hips, outgoing breath through the legs to the hands. So it's a little bit more, it's like a waltz. Circle, 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 as opposed to being quite angular. That's why this is a resting pose. Or this being a resting pose allows that to happen, maybe. All right, back into down dog. This time, before we get into our breath moment, you're going to send your tailbone up towards the ceiling and then down towards your heels. Just like you were doing in hero's pose. This time, opening up the backs of the legs instead of the fronts of the legs. This cue to send your sits bones really, really high has to do with the sits bone being the first chakra. And you want your first chakra, the pelvic floor, to actually be the top of your body. When you feel like you've got your first chakra, your pelvic floor being the top of your body, do a few more breaths of that triangular breathing. Ingoing breath lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath lengthens the legs. Ingoing breath lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath lengthens the legs. All right, from there, imagine that line again and walk your hands on either side of the line back until your weight ends up on your legs. And feel for a moment how your weight now can travel down through the heels of your feet. Now maybe you have really loose calves and that was the case before, but I want you to sense that there's these tripod points and your whole weight of your body is going down through your feet. And you may be here, you may be here. The important thing is, here's the weight of my feet, I feel grounded. You're going to start to walk your hands along the line and notice where it is that your heels start to feel like they're not as connected. As soon as that happens, walk yourself back again. And then walk yourself forward and find out where it is that your heels become ungrounded and come on back. Do like 3 or 4 of these, just opening up the back side of the body and being really honest with what's happening between your feet and the floor. We ladies who wear high heels may find this to be quite a stretch. But if we can figure out how to get the heels connected to the floor, gosh, we'll be grounded in these overwhelming times. All right, 1 more. Then with the feet connected to the floor, ingoing breath lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath lengthens the legs. Ingoing breath lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath lengthens the legs. We're going to kind of sort of do a sun salutation to get us to the floor. Ingoing breath lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath brings us up to standing. And immediately outgoing breath sends us back to the floor. Ingoing breath, walk your feet back into your new down dog, different down dog. It'll feel different because your feet went away from your hands. Then come on up into plank pose and find yourself on your belly. All right, here we are on the belly. Different kind of symmetrical. We're going to work the upper body and then the lower body with measurement, always figuring out how can I provide some nourishing boundaries to my body. All right, forehead to the floor. Leave your hands and your legs outstretched. Send your shoulder blades down your back and then reach your hands towards your feet. Then, with your shoulder blades down and your hands towards your feet, lift just your head. Maybe with breath, maybe outgoing breath brings you down. Then lift your head so that just your sternum stays down. And then rest. Then another breath. Head, sternum, and come up onto the edge of your rib cage. And with breath, maybe. Last one. Head, sternum, rib cage. Can you feel like the only thing that's going to be on the ground, even if it's untrue, is your belly button? So you're coming way up high, way up high, way up high. And then release down to the mat. Okay, leave your legs straight, but tuck your tailbone under, just like you sent your shoulder blades down your back. You're going to send your tailbone down. And have your feet come off the floor. So Instagram can't see this, but just your feet come on up. And then let that rest. Then your feet and knees, so your thighs are the thing that are still on the floor. And then let that go. Feet and knees and thighs. And then try to lift your hips so it's almost like your belly button is the place where you're allowing to have the weight of your body continue to go down into the floor while your legs are going up. So we get this dichotomy of down and up. And I hopefully have distracted you to make that nice and easy. And then let your legs go down. Okay. You're going to send your shoulders down your back. Reach your hands behind you. Bend your knees. And if you can clasp your shins great, toes great, whatever it is that's there. We opened up the front of the quads earlier in the sequence, so it should feel like you're all ready to go, like the front half of your body's ready to open up. Move your knees in towards the center line. This should be symmetrical. Send your shoulders down your back and reach your fingers. Send your shoulders down your back and reach your fingers. Then a little more breath into the front body, lifting almost like your belly button is the thing that stays on the floor. And then here come your legs. Ingoing breath opens and lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath lengthens the legs. Kick those feet up towards the sky. Some people find flexing the feet to be really helpful. Ingoing breath lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath lengthens the legs. One more. Ingoing breath lengthens the torso. Outgoing breath lengthens the legs. Then the last thing, keep breathing. Send your knees in towards the center line so you're really symmetrical. Then slowly, balanced in a measured way with measurement, symmetry, come on down like 1 inch at a time. And rest. Start to notice your breath. With your ingoing breath, think the word so. With your outgoing breath, think the word hum. And very mindfully, you're going to bring yourself into child's pose, paying attention to your breath. So on the ingoing, hum on the outgoing. Slowly and mindfully, that was quite a stretch for the front body. So this is a counter stretch. Don't push your child's pose too far. Just what makes your back feel good. So on the ingoing, hum on the outgoing. Again, slowly, mindfully, you're going to bring yourself into a seated position. It can be in a chair, on a mat, on the floor. And you're going to start to carry that so hum with you. Ingoing so, outgoing hum, ingoing so, outgoing hum. For most of us, there is a symmetry in these initial moments of meditation, where something arises, a thought comes, and then we let it go. It's like a falling leaf comes into view, and then we let it go. You can do that with your breath. Something comes, we let it go. So, hum. So, hum. Fix your mind and your focus, concentration, on a spot at the very center of your skull, behind your brow, where this rising and falling is going to continue. And as the rising and falling continues, start to notice that there is a center line that serves as an axis down through your body. With each so hum, you find more space. First, your knees start to seem like they're getting farther away from each other. Then your sits bones feel like they're getting farther away from each other. More space. Your lungs moving away from the center line, creating space. Your shoulders, points of your shoulders, farther away from each other, creating space. Your ears, your earlobes. There's space between your earlobes. Your eyes resting in your sockets. And your eye sockets seem to have more space between. And finally, that place where you've placed your concentration in the center of your mind, there's more space between the so and the hum. Relish in the space between. In some ways, symmetry can be nourishing. Because it helps us find the central balancing point. Stay here as long as feels good. I'll see you next time. If this was helpful, share it. If there's something you want me to do next week, send me a comment. Enjoy your meditation.